Juneau World Affairs Council presents The Ocean's Health, Challenges and Opportunities for Awareness and Conservation with Dr. Carlos Yaipen-Llanos. Dr. Yaipen-Llanos is a marine veterinarian and founder of a marine research and conservation network in Peru. Through his work, he's seen devastating effects on Peruvian waters and marine animals from human impacts and climate change.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much and good evening to everyone. It's an honor to be here. Thank you to the Juneau World Affairs Council for making my way to Alaska from Peru, and I will share with you a little scope of what's going on in Peru about ocean's health. Starting. Okay, the title tonight, Assessment of the Ocean's Health, Challenges and Opportunities for Awareness and Conservation. With the title expresses, not everything looks as bad. The ocean, as we all know, is the last frontier. You know, Alaska used to be the last frontier in the American continent. Now, the ocean is, right? And it's our home. Still, it's planet Earth, right? We need a lot to discover. We need to keep researching it. We need to learn from it, right? And we need to hear it. The ocean is giving us a message of health, a message of hope as well. With that, we're going to end. But the health of the environment, which is that nurture us, that sustained us, is shown, is reflected in us humans, but also in our companion species, the animals, different species from all the levels, right, in both in land and the ocean, are important. And my focus as a researcher, as a scientist and a conservationist, is that of conservation medicine. Medicine, as we know it, is to not only assess health, but to provide health, right? Conservation medicine is that side of veterinary sciences that I've been developing over the past 20 years, right, for the research on the health in the population, for the conservation of species that might be endangered, right, or vulnerable to be endangered. Marine mammals are the species that I work with, basically because they are similar to us in many ways. We are predators like them. The marine mammals, like us, have specialized to different environments. They're capable to solve complex problems. They have developed intelligence to the rate of solutions to solve different problems in their environment. They use sound to solve some of those problems, for instance, when they hunt, right? However, I have to say that marine mammals reflect intelligence when they're not aggressive, actually, when they develop social, more complex relationships. And creating these societies that are complex, right, with filial bonding, right, they make them similar to us. But going in depth in their physiology, the immune system that they have is very similar to us, which means that whatever happens to them in their health, in their environment, can easily be reflected upon us. We humans have created an impact upon the ocean, right? The ocean's health is reflected in the animal's health, right? And that is going to reflect upon us. Now, we humans make decisions not based on health, sadly. We make decisions based on the economy, on politics, politics. And we make decisions also based on social conjunctions, right? If there is a species that shares two countries and one country is not like the other, that species is doomed. And that has been the case of several cetaceans and pinnipeds, in the case of sea lions and seals, along the history of mankind. Exogenous constructions are affecting their world, right? In the name of development, we are destroying most of the locations where marine otters used to live in the coast of Peru. Marine otters are almost extinct, right? Many people don't know that we have otters. Marine otters are not sea otters, are different, right? But they are almost gone. Seismic testing and exploration for the sake of oil, for the sake of gas in the oceans is getting more and more intensified. and creating impact in the world of cetaceans that is based on sound, right? Solid waste, chemical waste, trash. There's not a single city in the world that reduces their impact in solid and chemical waste. It's not unavoidable. Human beings, every single city, right, where there are human beings, will be throwing waste in any sort into the ocean. This is sad because we're in the 21st century. We should be doing something already. Recycling as an option, of course. Campaigns, awareness are another option. But decisions have to be made in the economic, political, and social arena to not only reduce, but to stop polluting, right, in certain locations where it needs to be done. Medicines and sewages, we're seeing that the animal's health is being affected by the use of antibiotics, for instance, not only in humans, but also in other species like chicken. Chicken farms along the coast of Peru use antibiotics, and we're finding penguins with problems as well. Radiation, which is no secret, it does exist, is still moving in the streams, you know, after several catastrophes that are going to have an impact worldwide, probably. Of course, we hope it won't too late to mitigate. Peru in South America, here we have it. Galapagos Islands, in front of Ecuador, equatorial line. Peru. Lima City is in the central coast. This area has a mixture of currents, warm temperature waters from the Pacific Stream, from the South Pacific Stream, and the Humboldt Stream coming from the south, which is cold water that runs through the continental shelf of Peru and Chile, creating an environment, a hot spot of life for fisheries and marine mammals alike. In this image, we see, this is an image that I always show to children particularly, right? The expansion of the garbage patch in the North Pacific and South Pacific gyres, streams that connect each other, right? And that gather the plastic contents, the pollution from all over the world. This image reflects as well how big is the Pacific Ocean. So we have this amount of pollution in these areas. Well, it's not only going to affect the coastal lines of the countries on the side, from the United States, Alaska, Mexico, Central America, Peru, you know, but all living forms within this ecosystem. In Peru, we had early this year, our summer, your winter, floods. And these floods were not carrying just water, were carrying a lot of pollutants. These floods were all over the north and central coast. They exacerbated the temperature in the ocean. The sea basin lost a lot of fish. Generations of new coming fish was gone. Penguins starved, sea lions moved away, cetaceans did not show up early this year. That was a reflection of how pollution can be so big. We humans, sometimes we're more concerned maybe about the toilet waters than plastics in our lives. But plastics have a very severe impact, not because we can see it macroscopically, making an impact in the environment here, like in a beach, where crab will die, right? Birds will suffocate, right? But also the chemical reaction that will produce in all the food web. So why to learn our impact? We have to realize that everything we do to the environment will affect us, right? So it's not a matter of looking for guilt, but a matter of looking for solutions, right? So marine mammals allow us to see what is happening in the environment that can affect us. Learning our impact will allow us to take a real diagnosis, right, of where our responsibility is and where solutions can be taking place. And most important, to learn our impact will allow us to create solutions from factual research, from factual data, which sometimes politics don't like to hear. All right, cumulative effects. The cumulative effects well, what are all those particular actions of humans, right, all gathered together up in the environment. This definition, this group of factors affecting health, is being used in modern science, especially in conservation medicine, because we're gathering information from the declining of several species because of human actions. The cumulative effects upon the ocean, right? Here is a little list of four specific effects involving health. Is distribution of diseases. Viral and bacterial diseases will not only be affecting the fish that we eat, but also our contact with the water that we're in, where we're living with. Distribution of pollutants, as I said, plastics, right? Emerging diseases, viruses are mutating, definitely. Distribution of diseases that in locations were not present now are present, like tuberculosis, for instance, was reported in Argentina. Now we have it in Peru, in the ocean front, and keeps going, right? And the incremental surface ocean temperature, which is what everybody sees in Facebook, social networking, everywhere, climate change or global warming. All right, so this image reflects how our impact can be. This photograph is of a trawler. Trawling in Peru is not forbidden. Actually, fisheries can do trawling, and trawling is the worst thing the fisheries do to any ecosystem in any particular place on Earth. And in this case, we can see, well, the sea lions are behind it, the birds are following the ship. This photo was taken not far away, like 2 miles away from shore, really close to shore in reality. But the saddest part is that these trawlers are taking juvenile fish, and that is dumped, so it's not used, right? So it's a waste of productivity in the oceans, right? Peruvian fisheries as well interact with marine mammals. Back in the day, speaking with older fishermen, they responded that following dolphin pods, following the sea lions, they knew where the fish was, and they will take the net from the surface while sea lions eat around or underneath. Today, most of the fishermen believe that there are a lot of sea lions, despite the population is declining, right? Almost 70% of the population is gone. But since they're gathered around the net because there is a smaller volume of fish, the belief is that there are more sea lions, right? No acknowledging that there are more fishing boats and there are more extraction of the same species of fish every year. So describing these scenarios put us here to recognize, again, that cumulative effects on mammals and humans work alike, because we're together, because we're exposed to large populations of similar species, right? The sea lions that live in front of Lima are 5,000, and then 10 million human beings right in front, right? And those 10 million people, human beings, don't know that we have sea lions in the shore, right? The high levels of direct aggression, and there is an impact of zoonotic diseases that can be transmitted from the animals to us. So after all this, animals are still blamed for the problems that exist. I'm just starting to describe. So here's this little graphic. So how by bioaccumulation, right? In the food web, if in the lower levels we include molecules of plastic or hydrocarbons or mercury, it will be eaten by fish, such as dolphins, whales, and orcas, and humans on top. And every level is going to accumulate those molecules without metabolizing them, without digesting them, right? And increasing the volume, the concentration up in the pyramid. So the consequences of that is something like this. There is a tumor that we removed from a sea lion, 2-year-old, no longer than 4 feet long, found in Lima City Bay, exposed to these pollutants, exposed to plastics, right, and exposed to mercury as well. And that's part of what we are researching, recording how this impact is factual, is actually happening. But there's something else happening. Sea lions are being killed. As I speak, there are more and more animals in distress along the coast. And being a rescue group, the group that I lead, right, the numbers of emergencies have escalated, not only the deaths. Whales as well are threatened. Blue whales in these images can be found both north in summertime and south in wintertime. But their fate seems to be happening exactly the same, with impact of plastics, right? Not only the typical entanglement, but also collision, because our coast is path of a lot of oil tankers and commerce, large shipping boats. And sadly, well, these whales are found dead in the beach. So blue whales, we know, are critically endangered. It's a species that is very sensitive. And not many people know that there are blue whales in Peru. Normally associates to humpback whales, the Peruvian coast, right? But this species is becoming more frequent, but as well the strandings. Right whales, which population is just 50 animals between Peru and Chile, one of the most endangered population of whales, are visiting Lima City Bay in recent years. And during July or August, we have reports of females and calves. They are exposed to traffic of boats as well, right? These whales are coastal. So what we have seen is that fishermen are trying to remove their nets from their path whenever they see them because they're scared from them, right? But again, this is not a common species coastally. Actually, people, the regular pedestrians will not know that these whales are in the coast. For a local Peruvian, whales will be something that you will see in Alaska, not in Peru. And that's one problem, because it will be easy for juvenile individuals to strand, because of this lack of information in certain fisheries populations. Dolphins also are also impacted. The dolphin situation is more delicate because it involves social values. Several locations in the north catch dolphin for food. They are exposed to the bioaccumulation of pollutants in the dolphin meat. And I want to mention the stranding zone that is most common for dolphins and sea lions, that is located in the north of Peru. The number of strandings over the hundreds happening between San Jose of Lambayeque and Illescas in Piura, two states of northern Peru. In this area, fishermen used to go out to catch fish directly for consumption. Dolphins directly for consumption, right? But we have also in this area the use of poison and dynamite on sea lions and dolphins, and acoustic impact reported over the past 5 years by seismic testing conducted in the parcels for oil exploration in the area. And that's a porpoise. It's a black porpoise, or Burmeister's porpoise. This is called chancho marino, or sea pork. This is a species that local fishermen would eat. They will eat it as frequently as we eat chicken or beef. They actually have a diet based on it. But the levels of mercury that we're finding in this meat is extremely high. If the FDA recommends not to ingest nothing above 3 parts per million of mercury, we're finding over 200 parts per million in these meats. The acoustic impact reported, we actually make reports for the Congress, for the police, for the Ministry of Production about acoustic impact. Even we found the animals involved have fractures in the middle ear, that we can see here, right? And bubbles by decompression syndrome in different organs, that's liver, right? And we have been researching this along the years, right? Because fishermen do not eat these dolphins that are found dead because of acoustic impact, right? So there is a concern about the environment, that, especially for those fishermen locations that depend on dolphin. So what we find is scenarios are like this, but imagine a beach cover on dolphins like this. You know, whenever they're going for the hunt or whenever they're dying for acoustic impact, these mammals are telling us that we're doing wrong. We humans are making the wrong decisions, right? Now, to enforce the law is critical, because if not, we're going to have this impacting our own health. Here we have a couple of patients, sea lions, that have a very high level of mercury, and they suffer diabetes. They were alive. We monitor them. We actually characterize the whole disease, similar to human. Sadly, there's nothing written down on how to treat diabetes on sea lions. We used insulin, as we did humans. There was response, right? But what we found is that they were suffering pancreatitis, similar to what is being described in human settlements that have dolphin consumption. Fishermen that are exposed to this mercury are also suffering of diabetes, and they're losing their lives at the age of 25, 35. I mean, it's very young people we're talking about here, right? And these sea lions were no older than 1 year old. They were yearlings, so very young. So there is something, a reflection, right, happening in between the human and the sea lions exposed to the same environment. The case of Seal Island is very interesting because it also has to do with climate change. Seal Island is a little island in front of the coast of Peru and holds the only continental rockery of Galapagos fur seals. The Galapagos fur seals were endemic to Galapagos no older than 10 years ago, and these seals have moved 1,200 kilometers away from their islands. The rise of temperature in the Peruvian coast and the lowest temperature in the Galapagos Islands created a space of similar conditions to acquire prey, allowing the seals to move. Something that probably through evolution happened before this species become endemic. That means proper for that particular location, right? Now, these seals are the smallest in the world, and they are allocated in this little island. What is particular on this island, and what I bring it to the topic, not only because of the temperature, is because protection here is non-existent. It's the only rockery, continental rockery with these seals, and the government does not recognize it and has no law of protection. Actually, since it's not an endemic or not a species within the Red Book of Peruvian species, so it's by its own. Its fate is just there, right? But something interesting that happened here is that there is a fishermen settlement that actually take care of the island, and this fishermen area were addressed to be moved away because it was in the middle of the distribution of mining companies here, it's located here, and fishing companies, right? Which, of course, created a social problem. Then again, as we said, politics have to be addressed, health and the environment has to be addressed. This island is protected by the fishermen because around it they have squid that arrives. There is spawning areas of fish that they rely on. Cod, northern cod, Peru Pacific cod goes there as well. Octopus gets there as well, and the fishermen don't want to let go of that because they have lived all their lives through that. It's a native village, right? So they're in the middle of this problem, and this island holds also around 1,000 sea lions, rockery for marine otters as well, and penguins, and whales also use it to rest with their caps when they're moving towards Antarctica. All right, so Seal Island is an example of how things could be solved, but were not in the proper moment, right? They let things happen. Now the fishermen are attached to their island. Of course, they want to do ecotourism, which is good. I'm going to show you a couple of photographs in a minute, right? But the news cover it, and that's good because the news needs to be, again, as we said, factual and should address these kind of issues to the public. Most of the Peruvians don't know that we have these fur seals, that Galapagos fur seals are moving. We actually have a Galapagos fur seal in Lima City under rehabilitation, all right, in a peak of temperature 2 years ago. So climate change is happening, and the animals just reflect, they move with these temperature changes. So sea lions, I was saying about what is going on with them. Here we have a baby sea lion and a wingling. Most of them, the mothers get killed, get attacked, and the babies are left behind. They need 6 months since they are born to learn how to eat fish. If mother is not around, they can't survive on their own. So a lot of our work has been focusing on also rescuing these sea lions and teaching them how to eat. Sea lions don't know how to turn the fish around. When they're swimming, fish are escaping from them. You see the tail. They need to turn it around and eat it from the head. And sea lions don't know that, right? We need to teach them that as mothers would do. In Lima City, going south, we have a sea lion rockery, Palomino Islands, which is very interesting because holds the largest population of sea lions closest to the largest population of humans. So whatever happens here affects both. The Navy have already been reporting pollutants in the area. There is a lot of efforts to control solid waste. We have reports now of gastritis produced by bacteria that affect human and now affect the sea lions. So gastritis becomes a serious problem for both populations. And they interact all year round. Something in particular of these islands is that juveniles will be moved with their, will swim with their mothers to this island to grow. So it's very important for the development of the sea lions, the natural history of the sea lions. And they're facing not only the expansion of the city, but also the expansion of fisheries, depleting the coastal yards that hold the juvenile fish that only juvenile sea lions can eat. Right? Once the fish grows up, the sea lion also grows, and they can't eat that fish anymore. Right? So the life cycle of the sea lion is tied to the fish. Right? And there is no campaign or sustainable fisheries in the area. This is how the island looks like. And this is the situation right now. That's a female that was killed, and the baby nursing of the dead mother. This photo is from a couple of weeks ago. Right this minute, our rescue team works 24 hours, 7 days a week, doing the best for the sea lions. We're working with the police, working with the Navy to try to secure as many sea lions as possible. The public is getting involved, and we're going to go through that in a minute. So, in summary, direct aggression, mining and pollution and overfishing overlap on the coast of Peru, and this is no different to the rest of the world. I mean, this is happening everywhere. So maybe in certain locations will be less aggression or less pollution because of mining, will be pollution because of cities, but overfishing is a worldwide problem, and the animals are just putting us in the scope. They're giving us this alert of what can we do. So the challenge for all of us, right, I would say that is divided in three. If you dedicate to science, you do research, documenting the decline is not enough. Actually, you have to also look for solutions, right? Spreading the word, right? And as I said to my students, whatever you do, you have to think that somebody else have to take over, have to continue what you do. Cannot be just the end of whatever idea you have, just the final publication. You have to go farther because the animals depend on it. The ecosystem depends on it, all right? For society to understand, to change, to adapt, we humans have adapted to different things. Maybe sea lions won't be able to adapt to what is happening now. Maybe in 20 years, it will be just part of the history records, that's all, right? It will be gone. But here, that's where the responsibility as a society we need to take, to understand what is going on, so we can say, like, what did we do when we learned this situation? For the state and government to be responsible and to regulate, you know, and that's based on what society can claim, what society should claim to the state to do, right? Something that happens in Peru is that this articulation is not happening. Information is not getting there. Our society, sadly, lives in denial. And probably Peruvians are watching me. If you're watching me, listen very carefully, because this is going to be subtitled, right? You need to take responsibility for what is happening. You live in Peru. You are the only one that can solve it. No one's going to solve it for you, right? Getting involved in the decision making from your authorities is important. Participation of society in those decisions is important and can be done. It can be done. So some of the things that we do as an organization and myself, right? I've been involved in the police force in different workshops, right? And not only showing them what to do or talking about the problem, but also the legal issues. There is actually a marine, well, there's no such a thing as a Marine Mammal Protection Act that exists in the United States, but we do have the Animal Welfare and Protection Act, which have, for the first time, included all marine mammals in that law, right? Protecting them from human aggression, from pollutants, right? And having, and condemning with jail to those that kill sea lions or kill dolphins just for the sake of it. All that I've described before is illegal. Killing dolphins for consumption is illegal. Killing sea lions for just no reason is illegal. Even collide with a whale, when you know that it's a whale migratory route, is also illegal, right? But enforcement needs to be done, and that's why the police is being trained. This is the ecological police. Children, of course, going all the way around to the bottom, to the basis, right? Children need to be encouraged to be part of it. They have to learn to love their ocean, the marine species that we have, because most of them don't know they're sea lions. They don't know they're whales. They don't know the dolphins, right? And again, they want to see dolphins maybe in some pool, going overseas, and actually in Lima we have dolphins swimming right in front in the front door, right behind the waves. Large pods of common dolphins and bottlenose dolphins hang out. So why public involvement? As I was saying, this allows to execute solutions. It allows to plan the reduction of human impact, right? It allows us to execute and control whatever solution is being taken, because plans like this, as I showed you, the mining plans and oil expansion plans, okay, we need resources, of course, we need oil, we need mining, but should not be done over the health of all of us. It needs to be done with responsibility. That's where public involvements come in, and the fishermen in Seal Island are giving us that lesson. It's actually the only fisherman village in the whole country that stands for their island or for their location. Normally, fishermen villages will just either move or negotiate, but they don't want to negotiate, and they are taking things on their own. The Navy is being supportive now, which is good. And to change attitudes and values based on factual information that is true, you know, it's sad when there's news, let's say in the social networking, when there's an oil spill and you think that it's so far away, you know, something happened in Brazil or in Australia, the coral reef, We all love the coral reef. How many have seen it? Probably no one, right? But we have our marine culture as well. I mean, we have coast in Peru. We have species that need our protection, right? So being factual information that we have from our own location is important. And to prevent and effectively, right, the future, the consequences, to prevent what is going to happen to us after all this damage. If it is reversible, well, let's do things to make it happen. So here's some initiatives. Here is whale watching happening with fishermen in the northern coast of Peru. Humpback whales take their babies to the north. So there is an initiative to develop a long-term whale watching plan in the in the northern coast, involving this time the coastal communities. Currently, these initiatives are private, so do not involve the communities from the fishermen. The fishermen, they know the whales. Many of them like the whales passing by. They know that there could be a business possibility, but they don't have the information or the tools to get going in a project like this. So our organization is becoming more involved with the coastal communities in the northern of Peru, so they can make a sustainable ecotourism without impacting the whales, but also, most importantly, getting to know what the whales mean there, why they are there, and what all these leaps, breaches, and tail slappings and so on mean in their language, right? The relationship between marine mammals and humans is not that of a human and a dog, in which we can just take home and feel that it's safe there. No, it's that of equals, and that's the important reason why we're talking tonight, right? To acknowledge that marine mammals are equals in the ocean, and we need to treat them with respect, and they deserve this respect because we're all sharing the only planet we have. This is the first seals in Seal Island. Seal Island also is the closest island to the continent in South America. The Seal Island. They used to be a fisherman, that's why it's so old, to build boats. They used to build boats all the time, right? At least 300 years ago, right? They always been there, but now development has arrived with all these plants and mines, and they don't want to let go of their island. This is the new resident, the Galapagos fur seal. Tiny little guy. They call it the dwarf sea lion. That's what they call it, right? When I was looking for it, because first I heard when I was doing a survey for whales up in the north, they told me about this little dwarf sea lion hanging out in the coast that was fearless to humans, and that called my attention. It was fearless. Sea lions normally will go away or will not interact with the fishermen, right? But since these little guys have no previous experience or traumas with the fishermen, they would just stay there, and they would just swim towards the fishermen, not into the net, but here, around the boats. Here in the United States, we have the California sea lion that is very docile and approach to humans. In Peru, being so rough, sea lions don't like that. They don't do that as much, right? But this little fur seal has adapted, has his colony there, is almost 50 individuals, which is a lot for a little population of fur seals of the Galapagos. They're breeding, they're having babies, the pups are growing there, and they're moving along the coast. Of course, there's nothing granted for this species because it's a changing world. So we don't know if they're going to survive there, especially for all the things that we have mentioned, right? But to learn that the planet is responding that the species are moving is very important, because that's the message we have to transmit to the future generation, that we have a living planet. Swimming with Sea Lions program is something that is ongoing in Lima City. Persons approach too much to the sea lions, and the sea lions, fortunately, these are juveniles, that's why there's no attacks or anything, right? But regulations are to be created. We are giving a lot of workshops to the tour operators, and the authorities they like, of course, to have this sustainable ecotourism, but So far, there has not been any kind of rough entanglement between sea lions and humans, but we don't know if there's fish depletion and there's more stress. We never know. However, there's something that I want to mention is if there's any disease spreading in either of the species, both will be affected, right? Because they are so close. This is almost in about 30 minutes away from Lima City, right in front. And it's part of the oceanic experience in Peru. Actually, this is the only swimming with sea lion program, I think, in the world, because it's forbidden to swim with sea lions anywhere else. Right. I need to mention that. All right. All right. And here are, our hope. This is our team of rescuers, teenagers that have become very involved in our rescue program over the years. Right. Our junior program has rescued 57% of the animals right along the coast in Peru. Right, it's been amazing to see how the culture works differently. Volunteering in Peru is more to the underage. They're inspired to do help and to participate, not as such the adults or young adults. No. Once these kids get into college, it's very difficult to get them to volunteer, right? But once they get in, they're steady and they continue, right? This happened like last week. We're having a sea lion, and it's going to be fed, and this group is been very solid. And you see different ethnic characteristics, and that's typical of Peru. Peru is made of a blend of races, not only the local native, but as you can see from all over. Yeah. And it's very assuring that the future of animals can be in the hands of these courageous kids. Dolphins as well have been treated. The city halls get involved a lot now in the coastal area. Normally, they will look at the problem of strandings like an expense or so far away that they didn't really want to get involved. But now, since the public is more demanding, right, more awareness has been done, and now this one is a city hall official is supervising the operation is getting involved and getting there. And the beach cleanups that appear, of course, all over the world. Peru is not exception. It's encouraging to see how there's a lot of youth groups involving in beach cleanups worldwide and Peru as well. I wanted to conclude with some reference about about pollution. 8 out of the 10 most polluted animals in the world are marine mammals, right? So they reflect what's going on in the ocean. The orca, because it's a top predator, as same as us, right? Of course, the concentration in orca and dolphins and seals is higher than us because they rely on fish every day. So, as we said earlier, bioaccumulation will just push all these pollutants up into the food web, and these animals will suffer the consequences. Cases of cancer of all these species have appeared a lot, right? And immune suppression syndromes, degenerative diseases are spreading a lot as well. We humans are not far away, right? So, who did it pays it? That should be the case. It's an ethical question now, because responsibility, as we said, should be of all humanity as a whole, right? But it has to be based on the individual decision of being part of a solution, of a community that gets involved in that solution, and then humanity taking the turn. Any impact on the ecosystem, marine or land, will have an impact on us, always. And this means to create. I would like to show you a video that is going to show a little bit what I've been talking on our work, right? And has been the product of a lot of creativity, a lot of actions, and taking models that have worked around the world as well, right? Especially in the Northern Hemisphere, right? Our rescue operation is the only one in the Pacific coast of South America. Actually, our center is the only one that rehabilitates sea lions in the Pacific coast of Latin America, meaning that the closest sea lion rehabilitation center is in California, right, from Lima, right? And we have received phone calls from Guatemala, from Salvador, from Costa Rica lately, from Chile as well, right? We can't go because there's no logistics for that, but we address them, we spread the word. And that's where our part is, spreading the word. Mm-hmm. Okay. Palomino Islands, where the juveniles arrive. Every year, between June and October, the sea lions learn to eat fish along the way, coming from the southern rockeries to the central coast. Of course, this speaks by itself. We know how they die. That's human-made. When we find these cases, we characterize the cause of death immediately, as well as we collect samples. And things like these happen more frequently than we would like. And when we're doing the rescues, we try to inspire, and the rescue program has become an educational tool beyond everything more. We try to get the public involved. We want them to be part of a solution. We be part of something that can change the ocean environment, that is an environment that they also live with. In Lima City, this is Lima Bay, not too far away from the touristic area. And we have, for instance, little oil spills, and that little sea lion got oil in the body. It's one of the rarest cases, but it's a location also where we also gathered a sea lion with tumor I showed you earlier. So if this pollution is there, well, what about their kids? Their kids are getting exposed to that as well. And these are fishermen children, actually, that are getting involved into the rescues. And they help us taking care of the sea lions. So the sea lion is just making these children shift their relationship with the ocean. Sea lions arrive skinny, many have higher levels of mercury. There's nothing we can do about it, but sometimes they are so young that we need to interact with them to show them the way. In this program, I have researched the acoustics of sea lions in order for them to understand me in this stage of weaning, right? For the sea lion to become independent. I don't humanize the sea lion, we sea lionize ourselves. And the sea lion will detach naturally because it doesn't create any bond. It's learning and it's smart and knows that we're humans and we sink. They're sea lions, they float. And that's what happens. They go back to the ocean, into the rockery. And we have reports of our sea lions with their tag numbers as far as 1,000 miles away from the city. Yeah, so that encourages the program to continue. In the rockery, we also spotted our sea lions. So the video of some of them. And yeah, that's what the sea lions say. Our help is their fate. Well, thank you very much.
So we have a few minutes for questions. I'll get one going. How on earth do you teach a sea lion that's been rescued as an infant how to turn fish around and eat them the right direction?
Well, there are several ways. One is do it yourself. You get the little fish, you grab it, you turn it around, he's eating it. Of course, has to be hungry for that, and never skinny, always fat. Always the fat guys eat more, right? So that triggers, and they have to see it normally, right? The throat will expand along the way, right? What they're practicing in nature. They practice with sand or with rocks, but when we have them in the rehab center, we use different sizes of fish, the heads especially. Right, so a sea lion practices and practices and practices until he learns that actually the head is the easiest way to swallow it. When we have another sea lion that's already learned it, they see that one eating. But it's tricky, cannot be together, because if they are together, that one will associate that one as mom, right? And that can happen, it's not allowed. So they have to be independent, and when they are already learned, they can gather socially, right? That's how it is. It takes patience, believe me, right? But it works.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Carl.
Any other questions?
Any other question?
Come on up.
There's been quite a push the last decade for marine protected areas.
Yes.
In the U.S. and internationally, and in Peru culturally. Is there support for protected areas like around those islands, and the fishermen would either work with who's ever managing the protected area? So is that something that culturally is occurring and acceptable?
Yes, the protected areas are being enhanced. There's a circuit for points and islands that is being recently created, some 5 years, and it's been successful, where actually this Swimming with Sea Lion program is happening, under the supervision of the authorities. Seal Island is part of the Tropical Sea Protected Area, which is a proposal that has not been endorsed by the local authorities because it overlaps with this mining map and distribution and oil and fisheries distribution. So right now it's a debate, if they can give their territories or not, right? But the fishermen endorse protected areas, and that's important. We have seen that they have actually changed towards protection, right? And of course, the economical part is the one that triggers that, the spirit of being supportive. So ecotourism is the tool in general terms. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Llanos. That was very interesting.
Thank you for coming.
I know you deal primarily with mineral pollution and temperature impacts. My question has to do mostly with the cold currents. I think that were historically called the Humboldt currents along South America. There's been evidence lately that the jet stream in the South Pacific has changed. It is divided into smaller sections. And I know the fishermen who you probably dealt a lot with, would give you information. Has the Humboldt currents changed any, either in magnitude or in temperature? Temperature
Yes.
probably, but have they gone off coast further? Or?
Well, coastally, they are now evidence of these changes. Invertebrates that used to happen up north, and to be there, this mixture of temperature and streams,
By up north, you mean more near
north of
Ecuador?
Peru, yes, now can be found central coast, right? And the species that used to be adapted to the Humboldt stream to cold water have moved out or disappeared from these streams, right? Going farther south. So there's a reduction of the Humboldt stream for sure. The productivity definitely is being impacted by overfishing mostly, and pollutants, I would think, secondly, right? Because the species are moving away from locations where they used to be, right? I haven't mentioned in this presentation about the South American fur seal, but South American fur seals rely on anchovy, and anchovy has been depleted lately, and South American fur seals have moved farther south into Chile, and actually they're not abundant in Peru anymore. So that could be one example. Yep.
And in the interests of having a short enough time period here, we're going to have to call it, but thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That was Dr. Carlos Yaipen-Llanos in this Juneau World Affairs Council presentation, produced in collaboration with 360 North. It was recorded September 20th, 2017 at 360 in Juneau. With support from Alaska Airlines, Alaska Electric Light and Power Company, Alaska Power and Telephone, Core Alaska Incorporated, GCI, Hecla Greens Creek Mining Company, Haight and Associates, the Prospector Hotel, Sea Alaska, and Waskman and Associates Incorporated.